Hi, this is Denise with PaperKraftD, and on today's episode of Treasure Hunting Tuesday, I'm going to share with you what I scored at an estate sale in this bag for $15. You heard it, $15. All right, and while I am sharing with you all the goodies that I found, I'm also going to discuss how to find vintage ephemera for junk journals at estate sales. This is everything you need to know about estate sales. So let's get started.
Okay, so the first tip that I have for you is where to find estate sales in your area. My favorite site is estatesales.net. I pretty much use this 99% of the time. You can see right up here, you just plug it into any search engine on your phone or on your iPad or your laptop or your computer, and it gives you all these different options locally. Okay, and you can go through. It has lots of, the listings generally have a good description and they have good photos, which is what I really like about it. Most of the time I use this, but I've asked sellers when I go to estate sales, where else do they advertise? And they mention garagesales.com, yardsales.net, Craigslist, and Facebook Marketplace. You can also sometimes find them on your local community websites. So for example, if you have like a community buy nothing group, or your local next door group, sometimes they will post estate sales in those. If you'd like me to walk you through some of these groups more in depth, especially the estatesale.net, which is the one I'm most familiar with, just let me know in the comments below and I'll make a separate video going through all of that. The next tip that I want to share with you is which sales to target. Okay, so the things that I look for in an estate sale is, fairly close to home. I set my search parameter for 30 miles from my zip code, but generally I don't go beyond 20 miles or so. The other thing that I consider is that I really avoid the estate sales that are by appointment only. Generally, those estate sales are much more high-end items that I'm not really looking for, and that, if you're specifically going for junk journal goodies, those aren't the things that we want anyway. We don't really want the really high-end jewelry or the high-end furniture or the artwork or the silver or the china and that sort of stuff. So, and those things, those may be things that you find anyway when you go to estate sales, and you may be attracted to those in addition. But today I'm really going to focus on, the types of things that we're looking for junk journaling. So I avoid those by appointment only ones, and I really like to focus on the older neighborhoods. In my area we have some newer areas, and we have some areas that have been around for quite a while. I generally like to go to the older areas because those folks have generally been in their homes for a long time. They haven't downsized already, and you generally get a lot of more of the types of older ephemera that we're looking for in the junk journal community. So the other thing that I look for when I'm doing this is I look at, I love this estate sales by .net because you have the title, you have photos that can kind of draw your attention, give you an idea of what you're looking for. Now today's a Monday, so a lot of these don't really start at the very earliest till Thursday, so most people don't even post till Tuesday or Wednesday. So it's going to be a little bit of slim pickings today on the day that I'm actually filming this video, but it'll give you a general idea of what you can find online. But, I definitely look at the titles. I look at the photos, and you can open this up and go through all of the photos. And I also look at the description. Okay, so this says it's super retro and Escondido. So that's something that would definitely pique my interest for sure. So I would click on this one. I'm looking at this one, the old San Diego Tiffany. Maybe I'm not really looking for Tiffany lamps. That's much more upscale than I would go for. But, I would go through and look at the pictures and just see what they have to offer. I come down here. I see this is a cash only, so I need to make sure that I have some cash on hand. I look at the description and details. Very retro and vintage sale. They've got a lot of collectibles. They've got some vintage sewing machines, which is definitely a bonus. That definitely rings some bells in my book. And then I just go through and I look at the pictures and I see if there's anything that I might find interesting. It's going to load through here. This looks like it could be an interesting sale. They always pick the best photos, and the types of things that we go through, we go for as junk journalers aren't necessarily the things they're taking photos of. But you can see they've got some sewing supplies here. These aren't the best pictures in the whole world. Hopefully they have more sewing than that. They do have some cross-stitch kits, so those could be fun to include in junk journals. Let's see, I'm looking through here some more. I'm not seeing like a ton of stuff in here that would really say I've got to go to this sale. So, there are some bags of jewelry and stuff. I also like looking at the pictures of the books because that gives me an idea of how old the stuff is that they collect. And a lot of these books you can tell are fairly new. There's a lot of some DK books here. Those are all pretty new. There's some Harry Potter here. So it doesn't really look like, this has a lot of really, really old books. So might not be what I'm looking for in terms of a sale. I mean, if there were nothing else, I'd probably go to it, but probably wouldn't be my first choice in terms of sales to go to. Now the jewelry looks interesting. So that could be promising. What is this? Oh, these are tools. Okay. So let's see these magazines. Oh, these are labels. So that's promising. Actually, that looks kind of cool. Those would be kind of cool, actually, these labels. So that might be a reason in and of itself to go to this. So those is probably the best thing that I've seen on here. The very last thing that they posted on there was the labels. Okay, so that is that one. The other thing is, okay, so I look at this one and I'm like, okay, this is for Betty Boop. And this is a very specific person that they're targeting for this. And it's really interesting. Sometimes, you can tell they have nothing other than, whatever their collectible is. But you can see they have clothes, they have other things listed. But these guys, whoever's doing this sale, is really hyper-focused on this whole Betty Boop collection. So those are the people that they are hoping to draw. So if they have paper and things like that, they're more likely to give me a good deal on paper and ephemera items than, another sale that might not be so hyper-focused on, one specific type of collectible. So that's an option too, if, I don't find anything that I like more. You see a lot of these with tools. I guess some people collect a lot of tools, so that's interesting. So this is, these are just some ideas that you can get. Oh, this is the one I think I looked at that I really liked. This one, I like jam-packed. is also always a word that I look for when I'm looking for estate sales, because that means there's lots of stuff that they didn't take photos of that, you know, that will be available here. Okay. And more likely, it's more likely that they didn't have a chance to like price everything as well. So that's also a good indicator that I might be able to find things that I can negotiate and negotiate them down on. So you can see they have all these games. That's kind of marginally interesting. I liked this little box thing here for storage. That's super cute. Although this looks like doll furniture, but super cute. Let's see. Looks like they've got some paper and stuff. That's pretty cool. Looking at these books, they've got a lot of books. They have some older books, it looks like. Looks like maybe these are atlases, maybe. Not a ton of really old books, so not that, but look at this linen. Wow. Those look pretty phenomenal. Now you see everything has a little price tag on it. So that is the other thing that I would consider when you're looking at estate sales. And sometimes, you need to go to a few estate sales to kind of get get an idea about this. But I personally don't like to go to, I don't prefer, I should say, not that I don't like to go to, but I don't prefer estate sales where everything has a price tag on it. I much prefer going to ones that are a little less organized and that, you can definitely negotiate prices with the dealer more. Okay, so this is, that's also, it looks like a pretty promising sale as well. Okay, so I look for, jam-packed, vintage, ephemera, look at the pictures, look at the titles, and, these ones that say, 30 years of collecting, a 40-year collection of treasures, those are generally a good sign that you're going to get kind of older stuff. So vintage and antique. So those are always good ones to target.
Okay, so we've discussed where to find estate sales in your area and what to look for in an estate sale. The next tip is when to go to an estate sale. And I'm just going to discuss this as I go through everything in that green bag that I got this last weekend at an estate sale for $15. So as you can see, I'm really excited about these bingo games that I got. Okay, so when to go to an estate sale. Basically, it boils down to, I really try to avoid the first day and the first hours of a sale. The lines are super duper long, even just to get into the sale, and then the lines are long when you go to check out and you want to buy things from the sale. And there's really absolutely zero opportunity for negotiation and negotiating down the prices at all. The only reason I would even consider going to the first day and first hours of a sale is if I saw something very specific in the pictures that's a highly sought after item. Then I might consider going, right away to make sure it's not gone before I get there. Generally, I like to go the last day and the last few hours of a sale. That's when dealers are trying to get rid of their remaining inventory and are more likely to give you a good deal. Many times, things are marked off, usually 50% on the last day of the sale. And sometimes that's Saturday, sometimes that's Sunday. It just depends on how many days their sale has been running. Generally, junk journalers are looking for the types of items that really nobody else wants. So there are generally plenty of goodies we can use in our junk journals the last day of the sale. Everything's not gone. Okay, so I'm showing you these bingo cards that I got. I really love these, and I'm discovering that this box has some buttons that apparently the owners had used as markers for the bingo cards. So I am super excited about that. I have a bunch of vintage buttons and those call numbers like you find in the Tim Holtz sets, but real vintage ones. And I'm really excited about this piece of paper too that would be fun in a journal. So super excited with that bingo set. And then I'm just going to show you the other bingo set that I found, which is a little less fancy, but still has really cool markers and boards and a lot of patina on them. Okay, so we've discussed where to find an estate sale in your area, what to look for in an estate sale, and when to go to an estate sale. All right, so how do you get the best deals at an estate sale? All right, so we've already discussed go the last day. You're more likely to get really good sales that day, and you're more likely to be able to negotiate a good price. This also buy in bulk. You know, when you go, stuff your bag before you get to the cash register. This can be a little tricky if you aren't a reseller or a prolific junk journal maker. But you know, if you can't use everything that you buy, go with a crafty friend and share the bounty. Don't be afraid to negotiate. I almost always ask for the seller's best price for an entire bag of goodies. I always point out that it's mainly paper when it is, and dealers generally don't want to be lugging bags and boxes of heavy paper to the donation center or the landfill when the sale's over. So as long as you're polite and don't expect a better deal, it really never hurts to ask. Even if you go to sale where all the prices are clearly marked, you can still ask for their best price, especially if you're buying in bulk and or buying the last day of the sale. All right, so I'm showing you this color guide. It's for Grumbacher paints, and I just thought it was really cool. I have a project that I wanted to use this in, and I'm a little bit torn as to whether I want to tear it up or just save it for my own personal use. Okay, so my next tip is to be prepared. You know, the day before, you probably want to make sure that you have enough gas in your car and that you've emptied out the trunk or the back seat so that you have plenty of room for all the treasures that you find. You also want to map out your route on Google Maps or whatever mapping app you use so that you can figure out which sales to hit first. Also, you know, when you're doing this, be aware of the end time of the sales that interest you so you can plan your day and fit in all the sales that you want to go to. Bring your own bags. I can't stress this enough. Most of the time, sales do not have bags for you. So bring your own bags and bring sturdy bags. I prefer the bags that you buy at Trader Joe's. Those I don't know, the kind of plasticized ones that you purchase, not the ones that they give you for free. They are sturdy, the handles are reinforced, and they're kind of the perfect size. They hold a lot, but aren't really so big that you can't lift them when they're stuffed with ephemera. Make sure that you bring cash and bring it in small denominations. I like to bring a lot of ones, fives, and tens, and nothing over a 20. Sellers are always needing ones and coins. Most places only accept cash, and the ones that do accept credit cards will charge a 3% or more surcharge if you use credit cards or Venmo. I am showing you here the tracing paper that I got, which I absolutely love. It's so beautiful. It has beautiful patina, and I'm always looking for graph paper. This particular graph paper is not super exciting, but you know, it has that nice patina, so it's kind of cool. I found these cool kind of star charts. And I have no idea how I'm going to use them in a journal, but I like that there are wheels, so maybe maybe they'll fit in somewhere. I found this really cool little golden book the ubiquitous pokey little puppy. So that it's a 1970s vintage version, so that's pretty cool. Let's see. I also had purchased some playing cards. These are United Airlines or American Airlines, sorry. And I don't normally purchase playing cards like this that don't have a pretty picture on the front, but those, because they're airline, were kind of cool. I found these really gorgeous tea towels. I love the rickrack and the embroidery on the one on the left. It's just gorgeous. It's got a little stain on it, so I'll probably use those in some journals. And then I found this apron, which is not particularly exciting as aprons go, but it has some cool vintage fabric and some really pretty eyelet trim that can be used in journals. So I'm excited about that. I also found this bag of stamps, which is really cool. It's a nice little assortment of postage from international sources. It was the only one like it I saw at the estate sale, but super cool.
Okay, so the thing I am most excited about that I found at this sale, that I have to say, I've never found one of these at an estate sale before. Not like this anyway. And the cover is off of this. So I am so excited for this. And it actually kind of makes me a little bit sad that anybody is willing to get rid of this. All right, so yeah, I love this. It has all these little, like these two are the same, but they're like all these little this is basically a baby album. You got all these little cute little cards in here. Look at this. I don't know where this came from. Maybe it's part of this. This might have been torn off here. Aw, that's really sweet. Okay, I think this goes as part of this. Okay.
Okay, so I am going to just flip through this as I finish up my tips and tricks for finding vintage ephemera for junk journals at estate sales. And I may speed up the video to match so that this isn't like a super long video. Okay, so we were talking about being prepared for estate sales. I had mentioned earlier you want to bring cash. I always carry a small crossbody travel purse that has locking zippers and is slash resistant to protect my wallet. I just feel more secure that way, but you carry whatever you feel comfortable with. I can't encourage you enough to wear comfortable dark color clothes and sturdy closed-toe shoes. I generally dress as though I'm going on a short hike, except I use dark rather than light colors to hide the dust and the grime that can accumulate when you go to these sales. And the sturdy closed-toe shoes are a must. People, when they go to these, some of them are not very considerate and they throw all sorts of stuff on the ground as they're rooting through stuff, maybe intentionally or not, I don't know. But I've actually stepped on a thumbtack before. Luckily, I had thick shoes and it barely pierced my skin, but that's a possibility. I've seen broken glass on the floor, so just I wouldn't wear flip-flops, I wouldn't wear sandals, I'd wear thick soled shoes that are very sturdy and closed toe and that are comfortable. Also, I would suggest layering. Wear a short sleeve t-shirt and then put like a sweater over it if you need, if it's chilly outside when you leave, or a long sleeve shirt. or even your jacket, but leave the jacket in the car. I guarantee you, you're gonna get hot as you're like bending over and rooting through boxes and stuff. You want something that's easily removable that you can shove in your bag, and that's not super bulky when you get hot. Okay, I would suggest that if anything is staged outside for the sale, consider wearing sunscreen and bringing a hat. I'd also consider wearing a mask if you are at all sensitive to dust. I tend to get sinus infections, so wearing a mask is pretty much a must for me, and it's really saved my sinuses doing that. Bring some baby wipes and or hand sanitizing wipes in the car to wipe your hands, your arms, and maybe even your face after a sale. Things are tend to get very dusty and grimy at sales, and you're picking up a lot of stuff. It just is much nicer to be able to get that stuff off, before you either go home or you go to the next sale. Bring some water and snacks in the car so that you can rehydrate and keep your energy up. This is really important. Especially the water portion. It's important to be able to do that. And you may need to stop and make a bathroom break along the way as well. Speaking from personal experience. Okay, so my final tip for the day is what to look for at estate sales. All right, I always start in the garage. Sellers tend to put anything they don't know what to do with in the garage. So you can often find hidden treasures there and unexpected items. And oftentimes, the things that we're looking for as junk journalers are exactly the types of things that they put in the garage. And yeah, this is where you can a lot of times root through boxes and find things shoved under tables and stuff. And I've found some of the most amazing things in garages, so I always go there first. Then I moved to the office. And in the office, they usually put everything paper, which is, 90% of what we like, right? So they have vintage paper pads, graph papers, typing paper, watercolor paper, tracing paper, vellum, printer paper. Diaries can be found in there, calendars, envelopes of all sizes and colors, stationery sets, greeting cards, business cards. You can also find file folders and hanging file folders, index cards, Rolodexes. I found all sizes of Rolodexes, which is really fun for doing, little mixed media projects on those Rolodex cards. They have those roller stamps, like the roller date stamps, and urgent, those types of things, the word stamps. Wax seals. I found wax seals in the office before. And I love the paper clips that you can find at estate sales. Oftentimes they're oxidized or rusted already, and those are so much fun. For some reason, they often put travel brochures and maps and things in the office as well. And sometimes they have bookshelves in the office. So I'll look for old books in the office, but I'll discuss old books more later. Then I go and try to find the sewing room if there is one. There I will look for trim, especially like that lace trim, that people uses like a interfacing trim on the insides of jackets and stuff. Spools, crochet thread, which is great for binding signatures, buttons, patterns, all kinds of magazines like sewing, knitting, crocheting, quilting, things like that. You can find needle books, lace, tatting, etc. So the closets or the back bedrooms are usually where they keep the linens. I especially like embroidered napkins with lace and handmade doilies, as they're the perfect size to use in journals. However, look for stained and torn tablecloths and linens that can be deconstructed for projects. They'll usually sell these pretty cheap if you politely point out the poor condition of them. Then I try to check out the kitchen. That's a great place to find cookbooks, especially those binder kind that people like to use as journal covers. They often have really great vintage pamphlets and booklets here, recipe cards, and sometimes they'll put interesting towels, linens, and aprons here as well. Okay, so games can be anywhere inside a house. I really haven't figured out any rhyme or reason to where those can be. But when I find games, I always look for Scrabble tiles, dominoes, old dice, and stuff that can be used for dangles and clusters. I love old playing cards with interesting images on the back. And then I look for vintage board games like Monopoly and Candyland that can be used for journaling covers. All right, sometimes you can find art supplies like paint, scrapbook supplies, stencils, and specialty paper at estate sales, but not all the time. What you can generally always find at estate sales, however, are vintage books and magazines. They're super common. So I look for old hardbacks with pretty covers that can be used for journal covers, and books that have really cool illustrations in them. Some really old books and magazines have cool advertising that can be used in journals. And I always scope out the children's books, the gardening books, Reader's Digest hardcover books, and guidebooks. These, I especially like bird books and like tree books, flower books, things like that. And then finally, atlases. If you're really, really lucky, you might find a ledger at your sale, but those are kind of the unicorn, right? Finally, old clothes. A lot of times you can find, especially at the end of the sale, the clothes that have been picked over by other people. They're sometimes stained or torn, and those generally go super cheap. And if they're vintage, they can sometimes be deconstructed for fabric, buttons, and trim. All right, so that pretty much wraps up all of my tips and tricks and everything you need to know about estate sales. We discussed where to find estate sales in your area, what to look for in an estate sale, when to go to an estate sale, how to get the best deals in an estate sale, how to prepare for estate sales, what to look for in estate sales, and most of all, have fun. That's really kind of the goal of all of this, is have fun, enjoy the process, and have fun looking for those treasures that you can use in your junk journals. And then make sure you use them, because that just buying them isn't the goal. It's actually using them in your projects. I have gone ahead and typed up these tips and tricks for you, and they will be available on my Ko-fi page. They are going to be a freebie for you to download. However, if you do feel so inclined and you find them helpful, I would greatly appreciate a donation, a small donation to my Ko-fi page. It definitely helps support my channel and keeps me incentivized to continue making these kinds of videos in the future. So if you have the means and if you feel so inclined, I would greatly appreciate anything that you could do to help support this channel in that way.
Okay, so this I found in the garage. And I didn't see this the first day that I went on Saturday. But it was there in the garage on the shelf, kind of underneath something. So, I had to kind of look down below. It doesn't have a cover, but this is a treasure trove for junk journalers. Even this little, braided hemp cord is amazing. I love that. It's so vintage and so cool. Could probably even use this piece of wood here in something, and I've got this back cover for this. I'm in love with this. you know, as a mother, you're like, oh, it's their baby, you know, and you want to take good care of that. So yeah, I will definitely be scanning everything in here, and honoring it, putting it in future projects. So that is everything I have to share for today. Just, you know, and this was an estate sale that I wasn't super excited about. I mean, this is one where, you know, it didn't have all that much stuff, really. I mean, this is one of the ones where, you know, at least the first day I thought, oh, this is going to be a little bit of a dud. Man, was I wrong. Look at this. I mean, what a treasure trove. So, you know, you never can tell. And this one was literally, you know, a mile from my house. So you can never judge a book by its cover. And once you start digging deeper, you might find some real treasures, especially, you know, and I definitely recommend going the very last day. So, thank you so much for joining me today on this Tips and Tricks Treasure Trove Tuesday. Do I have enough alliteration going on there for you? I really appreciate it. I appreciate you supporting my channel and showing interest in my videos. If you did enjoy this, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the description box below. Do you like to go to estate sales? And if you do, how do you find them? I'm really curious because, like I said, I've had a lot of luck with estatesales.net. I know there are other ways to do it. I just, you know, I find one thing that works and then I kind of stick with that. But, you know, different areas might have different areas of the country might have different tips and tricks, or different sites or different ways of doing things that are more efficient for that area. So please leave me a comment. Let me know how you find your estate sales and what is the coolest thing that you've ever found at an estate sale. I'm thinking, well, at least for this weekend, this one takes the cake. I've never found any a scrapbook like this before, especially for the price that I got it. It was just, it's a steal. So, yeah. So leave me a comment. And if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe to my channel. Again, this is Denise with PaperKraftD, and craft on.